kindoffunny.com/KFL3. Get tickets. Get your tickets.
You know what moms love? Food. You know what you love? Food. Why not make some food with Blue Apron, best friend? I wrote this ad. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious, home-cooked meals. Choose from a variety of new recipes each week or let Blue Apron's culinary team surprise you. Recipes are not repeated within a year, so you'll never get bored. What's cooking in May? Glad you asked, Patreon supporter James Hastings. Beef teriyaki stir fry with sugar snap peas and lime rice, baked spinach and egg flatbread with sauteed asparagus and lemon aioli. Sounds good. 3 cheese baby broccoli strawberry with tomato and oregano dipping sauce. Nom 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 nom. Crispy salmon and roasted potato salad with pickled mustard seeds and some kind of sauce I can't pronounce. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Greggy. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Greggy. What else are you going to eat? A shoe? And now this transitions, I think, into topic 2, which is us getting married.
Mm-hmm. Immediately after.
Pretty much.
Like literally 2 days later, it happened.
No, we started into this thing, and Kevin, we have the champagne now. Yep. We started into this thing of texting, and it's a full week before, it's like a week and a day before you're even going to be in town.
Yeah.
So your first real night here is when we're going to go on the date. Mm-hmm. Your first night in town is when we're going to go on the date. And so we text nonstop, and the story goes that the night before the first date, I am drunk again. I'm painting a bad picture of my drinking habits. Drunk again, though. And I text him, hey, are you there? Can I tell you something? Will you keep it in the vault? Something to that effect. To which Tim doesn't respond. I needed an instant response.
I'm sorry, Tim didn't respond instantly to a text message?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a shocker.
Yeah.
Because he's an asshole.
That's a shocker.
All right. I responded an hour later.
An hour later.
No,
Hey.
probably the next day.
Hour
Maybe
later.
even a week
I
later.
have the text messages.
Yeah.
An hour later, I go, sorry, I was in the shower. Which Greg replies with the most Greg Miller response of all time. Like, I forgot exactly what it was, but it's like
You had your chance. I
you
was
had your
vulnerable.
chance, I was vulnerable. Now I'm a rock. I'm back to being a rock. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you coaxed it out of me because I was giving you a hard time. I was just fucking
Of course.
around. You know
Classic
that.
Greg Miller.
And what I said is that Jen's awesome. I'm going to marry her. And that was...
And I was like, haha, she is awesome. there was a lot of... So my whole side of this was I get the text from, I forgot if it was Kevin or you. I think it was actually both.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
night that the drunk text first started. And at some point, it's just like, it is confirmed.
Should I pop this?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, pop that shit.
Ooh.
Scared me.
I
Scared
should
me.
have sabered it.
We don't have... The neighbors... You ever seen her saber something?
Oh, Saber.
Yeah.
I thought you said
have a
Saber.
saber?
I'm like, how much more could you...
I'll send... I have the video. I'll send the video to Kev. You can pull it up first.
It's so dark, though. Okay.
But yeah, I get these texts coming in from all different angles.
They're hitting you from all different angles.
They're essentially just like, all right, it is confirmed, like Jen is flirting with Greg. And my first response is, what the fuck? I was like, I don't believe.
I'll be honest. For up until about 2 days ago, I was like, I think
This
he's
isn't
really
real.
misconstruing all of this.
Yeah.
There's got to be some miscommunication here that's happening somewhere.
Well, that's the funny thing about you saying, like, you know, when I came to your house with the Wing Wings and told you I was going to date with her or whatever, it was that thing of like, so yeah, I got a date this week. And you're like, oh, wow, who's it with? And I'm like, it's with Jen. And you were like, Jen, like, and I'm like, Jen from Square Enix. You're like, whoa. You're like, whoa, okay.
I was like, okay. Because Greg and I we have a really good relationship.
We do.
But we don't
We do.
have, up until recently, I think we've probably gone beyond this now. This
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers, Kevin. Kevin doesn't have any.
Oh, Kevin, why don't you pour yourself a glass?
Kev, get a little glass. Get a little glass of glassy.
We're celebrating us getting married. You love us. You were there.
Okay.
We should go to Richmond Draw 5 too.
I'm down.
Good relationship.
Greg and I have never had the bro down relationship where I can ask him intimate details about your body.
Getting there, though.
Getting there, close to that. So I was like,
You should see the photos I got.
I would love to see those photos. Can you blur out all of you though? But I was like, I'm like, I know I don't have necessarily this relationship with you. We are really good friends, and I consider you at this point part of my family. But I'm like, at that point, at that time, at that juncture, I was like, how do I tell him I'm so proud of him without it sounding like a backhanded compliment?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where I'm
Sure.
like, and I'm like, how do I phrase this without saying like, there's no fucking way you accomplished this, but you did, and I'm really proud of you. So I think I just came. I was
Kinda
like,
funny.
I was like, that's awesome. I'm super proud of you. And then I think I may have said like, don't fuck this up, or like when it goes south, don't worry.
Sure.
When she stops drinking, like, don't worry.
It was interesting the amount of people who were like, yeah, man, that's awesome. And I was like, I really like, great. Don't get hurt. Everyone was very like,
no, I said
don't
that
get hurt, man.
in my text message.
Yeah.
When you, I'm going to marry her, I forgot exactly what I said, but it was something sort of like, hey, man, she's awesome. Don't get hurt.
Yeah. Everybody,
I also said that.
Kevin said it when we were having cigars. Yeah. When I was like, I think I'm going to marry her later on. Like, that was after the first date.
To be fair, that's not a judgment on you or anybody.
Well, it's also, hey,
when you just actually started talking to someone and the first gut reaction is I'm going to marry this person.
we talked for a week.
Yep.
Don't get hurt. Yeah, you did. But my favorite
entire
this is, again,
week.
another classic Greg Miller thing is like Nick doesn't listen to things. That is a fact. However, the way that you'll nonchalantly just say things like, I can
sometimes-
totally
yeah.
imagine you just be like, yeah, I got a date with Jen. It's like, no, that's not how you kind of express that.
Yeah.
You need to be a bit more pointed of like,
circumstance,
so
yeah.
you're not going to believe what I'm about to say. There needs
Yeah.
to be a bit more.
Give me a little build up to it.
Sure.
Because
Sorry.
remember how we
Next time.
described this girl to you the first time we met
I remember,
her.
yeah.
Right. It was graphic. It was really inappropriate. So you have to understand like that. There's a lot to unpack there.
Sure.
And so you just kind of dropping that on us. I was
sorry,
like,
sorry, my
I
apologies.
don't. You got to make a bigger deal. Also,
I already played
I'm
so much
married,
with these two. Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. I'm married. I have to live. You were the only single person at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In our organization. So I was like, I have to live vicariously through your penis.
Sure.
You have to share graphic details.
Gotcha, okay.
Graphic details with
My
me of what's
apologies,
going
man.
on.
Okay.
Because
I'll let you
again,
down on this one.
you'll see a couple years from now.
Yeah.
When you're on that island with me, that barren landscape of an island.
Sure.
You'll need this.
Okay.
And all you'll have is Kevin telling you about all the inappropriate things he does to Paula.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Kevin, I sent you the sabering video via Slack to the control center because I listened
God
and learned.
bless Slack. I'm enjoying Slack, by the way.
Thank
I'm not
you.
using it a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
but I see all the updates. It's nice.
So,
So when I don't listen, I can go back 3 days later and be like,
Can I
get
read
it.
the text messages?
sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Just going through here. At some point, you go, I can be completely vulnerable with you, and you'll just keep it locked in the vault, right? Just between us. And I respond, of course. But it was 30 minutes later.
30 minutes, Kevin.
It's too late. I'm a rock again. And I go, no. And you go, you missed my moment of weakness. And then I was like, I was driving, so I guess I was in the shower. I was driving. I'm going to end up marrying Jen one day. LOL. She's the best. All caps, vault. And the next text.
That means it's really in the vault.
Yeah. Duh.
Yeah. Just make sure you understand how the vault
Then
works.
don't throw it in my face when it never happens. And I just go, LOL.
We
She
are-
really is. Then you go, neither of us can believe how well this is going. It's weird. And
Because this, mind you, we still haven't gone on the first date.
No.
We are just texting
You're
so
just
much. Like,
texting.
I can't believe how much we like each other. This is awesome.
I give you a little less than 3 symbol.
Yep.
And you give me the little less than 3 symbol.
I do love
And
you.
then again say, don't throw it at me when this goes nowhere, but if we do get married, put it in your speech.
Yeah.
And then next text parentheses, when we get divorced, don't bring it up. Next text parentheses, when our firstborn dies in a DUI, wonder aloud if I have
my
powers.
I'm just saying, if I called all 3 of those things in succession, like, that's going to be pretty
Well, I
cool.
really
And you'd
hope
have to think
not.
that I have powers.
Yeah,
And
no,
then,
at that point,
you know
I would be
what?
like, Greg
I feel
is
like this
a
is where
seer.
this needs to go just for a little bit of clarification for everybody. And I just go, LOL. I love it so much. It is weird and random as hell, but fucking awesome. And you go, we text all day and are like, quote, this is great. Why is this so great? And then you say, and then of course, she's smoking fucking hot. So here's the thing, Greg Miller, the gentleman.
Maybe you understand how the vault works.
And then
The
I go,
things that are that can be used against me don't read aloud on
I
a
guess you're right.
podcast.
I guess you're
Yeah,
right.
I don't
And then,
know
yeah,
a
be
lot about
careful and have
vaults.
fun. Words to live by for me. And you go, yeah, then you go, the love from...
It was good.
All right,
You
we
know?
want to watch this video really quick?
Sure, this is
Let me
Jen
see some saber.
sabering.
Let me see some
Has anybody
saber.
ever heard of sabering?
Yeah.
I hadn't.
You hadn't seen that?
Jen said she could do it with a cell phone. Then she took this knife and stabbed the back of the screen.
Oh no.
I accidentally stabbed. Yeah.
Is there audio?
Yeah, but it's just her going, whoo, whoo. All right, you ready? And then she does it. And then she just goes, okay.
You
So
need
this
to-
is
Wait, aren't
a,
you supposed to take the thing off?
you don't have to. Watch. Slow-mo.
Wow.
Oh, you
That's
can't
really cool.
drink that though, right?
Yeah, you
Oh
can.
yeah, we drank the hell out of it.
It's
yeah.
super clean. Yeah, there's no glass in it.
And then it comes back to real motion. She just looks at me and smiles.
Oh,
I
something
love
hot about
her.
That's hot.
This is
Watching
the
it all
first
trip
video I
out.
had of her, so I watched it quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
my
yeah.
goodness.
A little
Slow motion
jerk action.
Did you try to time the geyser?
Well, that's
With
when I
your
broke out
guys in
DLC.
blast.
I put it
Nick,
on a
you
loop.
got a legit giggle out of Jed with that one. Like that was a moment.
It was very high pitched.
But that was the thing, is that from the get-go with you, I knew it was different. And I think you did too.
Yeah, because I'm the first one who said I loved you.
Well, yeah, you're jumping ahead of the story, but I'm talking
How-
about in the texts in general.
Oh yeah.
You know, because like the texts go, then we have the first date. It goes smashingly. We go to Hard Water,
Smashing.
of course. We have photos. We went there with
talk about
the
Nashville.
reception. We eventually stumble onto Nashville, which of course, again, beforehand, I didn't commit much of Jen to memory. So she says we've talked about Nashville at event somewhere else in this thing. And then we talk about like PAX when I hosted the panel. And she's like, oh yeah, it's like when we went to dinner there. I'm like, when did we go to dinner?
Oh,
She's
I'll
like-
never fucking forget when we went to Gaucho's.
Yeah.
One of the meals that
shit,
I
that
will
was
never forget, where they
awesome.
took a steak and then they put a lobster on it, and
Yeah.
that was just how it came.
Remember when the waiter asked us if we wanted lobster on our steak, and it was like, "Yeah, waiter, yeah, we do."
I remember none of that. And she's like, the one where Nick Chester went home sick. I'm like, I remember that. And that's all I remember from that thing. I don't remember
that
you
was a
two being
different
there.
dinner.
Wait,
that
what?
was a different dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where
Okay,
did
I
we
don't.
go?
Oh, she wasn't at Gaucho's, was she?
Yeah, she was.
Oh, because it was this. Fuck, that's another PAX dinner I don't remember you at.
That's how hard love struck him. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, that's
Love
the
struck.
thing, though, is that then we take off the texting on stop. I know I'm gonna marry her. I'm trying not to come on too strong because I don't want to scare her off. You know what
Just
I mean?
every time she turns around, you put a ring. You're trying to put that ring.
I haven't even met her in person on a romantic level yet, so no, that's not. You know what I mean? Then we had the first date. She mentions that she likes Nashville. I flip out about Nashville. I'm like, where? She's like, well, I just watched the season finale. I'm like, oh my god, what did you think? She starts going. I'm like, hold up. Apparently, you are not there. You are a season behind. They are keeping these from you. We immediately get the check and go home and watch Nashville.
Because in Canada we didn't have it.
Exactly. You had to see what was happening with Nashville or whatever. And then again, this is going so well. You're only in town until what? You're supposed to leave Friday morning.
Yeah.
This is Tuesday night. By the end of Wednesday night, I think I've convinced you to extend your stay. So you're gonna stay through Sunday, hang out, and then I think it was Saturday where I had the conversation beforehand of like, what are we doing? Clearly, we like each other a lot, but neither of us want to be in a long distance relationship again. That's stupid. That ends poorly.
Because
for
both of you
everybody.
were at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. We
had been.
We had been, yeah.
Had been.
And so it was like, yeah, let's not do that. I agree. Blah blah blah. So Sunday morning, I wake up, put her in a cab. She drives away. I burst into tears, come upstairs, cry into my pillow, literally like a teenage girl or like a teenage boy. I don't even mean like that, but just like crying there with Porty next to me. And I'm like, I've been divorced. This is the most upset I've ever been about someone leaving. And I've just met her. And I'm like, man, that's fucked up. So what do I
That's
do?
fucked up.
I get up, I pick up all my kind of funny fan mail cards, go to the coffee shop, make a sad playlist, a very emo playlist, sit there, fill them out, text Marty Sleva at like 9 in the morning. She left some ridiculous time. Like, whenever you get up, do you want to go to brunch? And he finally texted me back at like 1 o'clock. He's like, yeah, if you still want to. I'm like, yeah. Went there, ranted about how much I like Jen because he knew Jen from before too. And then finally she landed. And when she lands, we don't say it, but we're in a long distance relationship because we just never stop texting again. And so then we plan the Chicago trip and we do all this stuff. And Chicago trip is the whole lead up to Chicago. She keeps saying, which is a weird thing to say, she keeps saying, I don't know how I got so lucky. I don't know how this is happening. I keep waiting for you to tell me that this is all a joke or I'm dreaming or something like that. That's a weird thing to say. I should be saying that, but okay. And so I come up with this dynamite idea, Tim, audience, Kevin, Nick, where what I'm going to do is we're going to go to Chicago, have a baller-ass fun weekend on the lake because we were going to W down there. Right there. It was summertime. We went stand-up paddling board. We knew that was going to happen. It was going to be great. But what my plan was, in my infinite wisdom, is have a great weekend. Then Monday morning, when we both go to the airport, where she's going international, I'm domestic, right? I get dropped off first, I assume, in this plan I have. I can amend it on the fly if I need to. But the plan is, this is me, like, as I'm flying to Chicago, my plan for leaving Chicago to be awesome, right? Is when I get out of the cab to open before I close the door, be like, and you're right, I don't like you. I love you. And slam
So
the door and walk
dramatic.
away. Walk away.
dramatic.
Like,
So
fucking
dramatic.
nail it. You know what I mean? Like, so fucking dramatic. Own the moment. What do
I'm
you got?
all about it.
I know you
I'm
are.
all
I know
fucking
this is a
about
Tim
it.
moment.
Moments, man. Moments are important.
Yep.
But okay,
But
keep going.
instead-
How did this go?
So instead, we land, we meet at the airport, we get in the cab, we get there, go up to the W hotel room, walk in, she
Sit
puts
by
her bags down,
yeah.
she turns around, she's like, so I love you. And I'm like, no! no, this was my cool. And I explained
Like
my
10
cool
minutes
moment.
in, yeah.
Yeah, I explained my cool moment that she
It's the
stole
thought
from
that
me.
counts, though.
I agree.
She
But it
knows.
was also like, hey, cool. Because I was very concerned about, coming on too strong. You don't want to go do this. You know what I mean? I don't want to scare her off because she's a small. She's a little.
She is a small.
She's very petite.
She's a little French
Le
baby.
petite mort.
And so
The little death.
Yeah, petite mort.
that's orgasm, right?
Hold on. How do you say that?
La petite mort.
Oh, man. I've been saying that wrong for a long time.
Trust me, if it's French, you've been saying it wrong.
That's true. That's
Period.
true.
Yeah.
But it's
Just
such a
like
fun
Viv
little
Clicquot.
thing. There's a song. You should look it up on YouTube. Le petite mort. But there's a T in it, so it's mort.
We don't say this.
Sorry. Keep going.
That's fine.
It's about orgasms.
I know. I'm aware.
Oh, cool.
So from there, it's just off to the races. That's
Had
the
me
thing
orgasms.
of like, for how we were going to work this, getting married and being together forever. We knew early on that was the case, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was just like, there was never a, like, here's where the story gets boring to an extent, I feel.
Yeah.
Where it's just like,
We
Not
had
for
to
us.
have a very
Not for me, too.
pragmatic approach. That's
Why?
the thing.
Well, because you guys, so obviously we know that you guys are, I mean, I don't know about Tim, but I knew you guys were dating each other. I knew you guys been seeing each other. It was a long distance thing. And then I remember I think we were at, I forget what conference we were at.
RTX.
Very early on. No, I think it might have been before that.
A
prior to
GameStop.
that. Yeah, GameStop. That's
Yeah, I
what it
remember
was.
this. Because I remember being on the rooftop.
Yeah, we're getting hammered on the rooftop at their like company party, and you were just like, I got to be honest, like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna marry this girl, and I'm like blown away by this because to me, like, I am the opposite of impulsive.
Yeah.
It took me 5 years to propose to my wife, and then we had a very long engagement, so I was like, holy crap! Like, I started getting anxiety. I'm like, I'm worried for you. I don't know.
Well, it's because you
Are
originally like, I understand that. I mean, we'll see how the next few years bring. And I'm like, no, we're gonna do it like immediately.
Yeah, and I was like,
Because that would have been September that we were talking
Yeah.
at
Probably
GameStop,
about that, yeah.
and it
We
was
filed in October.
we filed in October with the Department of Homeland Security.
God bless them. Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the problem. You know what I mean? The fact of our timeline would have been different
Yeah.
if you were in like another state and it
Yeah.
was easy to
Yeah,
come here and stuff.
for
And then,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like, well, whatever. We're together. We just want to be together.
Yeah, we didn't want to do a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
And like maybe to give some background to the impulsive side of everything, nobody in my family ever got married. So in my
How long have your parents been together?
30 years, in my familial
That's the secret
culture,
to the happy marriage, just to never get married.
but like I had never envisioned myself getting married. Like I knew nothing about dresses, nothing about rings. I had to start a Pinterest account to research those things.
That's how everyone learns, though.
But to me, when we talked about it initially, I think it was like 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
We talked about what do you think about like not what do you think about getting married, but like overall, we knew right away it was the right decision because we knew we wanted to be together. And to me, it was I never doubted it. Like I knew I wanted to be with him, and that was the most pragmatic way to do it. Because we also tried. I mean, we looked at me getting a job here, but from a little visa background, a business and marketing person, it's super hard
Yeah,
to
it's really
immigrate in the
difficult.
States. I don't qualify for a work visa. And like the point was not, I want to work here. My point was, I want to be with him like as soon as possible.
And the whole thing was that then they own it, right?
yeah.
Right, so-
Also, if I went through work, they would own my status.
Right. So if they decided that you no longer worked there,
Yeah.
you would get
And if I don't have time
deported,
to-
rather, and
exactly.
exported.
If
They
I
would
do-
export you out of the country.
If I don't get enough time to adjust my status and I'm still on a work visa, like they own me. So I just need to leave. So I would rather own my own visa and be with him immediately. Because like you get to an age. By the way, I'm not.
I made a
12.
joke once that she was 25. and
Everybody
took that as
thinks
Bible
I'm in
truth.
my early 20s. I'm 29, and I've been into multiple relationships. One that was 8 years long, where I lived with him.
I just love it.
And then I dated multiple people, and I know who I am, and I know what I want. So when we met each
Greg
other,
Miller.
You want that game over, Greggy?
Yes.
so there was no doubt in my mind when
Sure.
we met and we fell in love. Like to me, it was the thing, you know.
Right.
And I was a super skeptic
Skeptic.
yeah.
of relationships.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
with you, it was not
Sure.
a problem.
Well, and that was the thing for me in terms of like, I remember what I took away from my first marriage, right, was the fact of we were too young.
Way too young.
And we didn't know what we wanted. And I wanted IGN so much, video game journalism, or whatever you want to call it, more than that relationship. And I knew that, but I committed because we were in love, and that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
And my takeaway I always talk about in podcasts and everything else about it was the fact of the next woman I would marry would be my number one priority.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing with you where it was, we had those conversations of, if I need to go to Montreal and live with you, that's fine. We can do that. And there's Kind of Funny North, and there's some version of the morning show, and afterwards I stream or whatever. I do interviews up there, and I know we've talked about it before. Like we would make anything work if we had to make it work, and that's how the company
Thank
works.
God that shit didn't happen.
Exactly,
though.
but that was what
I was all talk. I'm there for my friend, but like, let's be real.
Yeah.
No, it's your number one priority. But I feel like having your wife be your number one priority is like the best thing, because then that makes your number two priority that much more important.
100%.
Right?
Like they go hand in hand, right? And
Yeah.
that was the conversation, I think, and the fact that what I'm doing here can support us while we figure out how to make this work for her.
You've been
and her
so
career.
much better since you met her here.
Oh my God,
Not
right?
that you've ever been bad.
No.
But it's just like you just care more.
Yeah.
You know, and not that like you've always cared so much.
I
but,
care in
like,
the right way.
Yeah.
The big thing, what I always said about it with Jen, and I'm talking about after, like, you know, once we started dating, like just in those first things, is like, I couldn't believe the clarity it gave me, where we all work hard, but I'm the guy who has the hardest time turning it off. And when somebody in the comments wants to be a dick, or the Reddit wants to be really mean or whatever, I take that personally, and I sit there and stew and crank, and it'll ruin my entire day and night as I try to figure out what the best course of action is. Because you can't get in there and fight, because it is quicksand and you'll sink. But how do you make the changes or don't make the changes? Blah blah blah. And like I would get so ratcheted up to the fact of like with her, where it is she's the number one priority. It's like, well, I have a call to take, or this, or also the fact of like, this doesn't matter in the grand scheme of it, right? This is a day in the Kind of Funny timeline or whatever. And like you want to talk about like knowing, I mean, like I obviously had known forever. We're way deep in the process, but like with everything that happened with Colin, like I gave you guys so much credit to go to PAX on your own without your significant other. Whereas for me, going to PAX right after the tweet and right after everything happened, and where it was pretty clear, I think, where we were going to end up going when we came back with where Colin's head was at after having so many private conversations with him. But to go to PAX and be able to cry on her shoulder and be like, have my person there and have that person to vent to.
Well,
and
to be
talk
fair,
to.
Tim's my work wife. So
Sure, yeah, I
So
know.
we had
and
each
we
other.
were
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
staying in the same place together, so we were able to confide in each other.
But that was the
what we were
thing of
feeling
just like, yeah, of
as
like
well.
having her to be there and trust in and do all these different things
You're
with
my
and have
working
that be that
mistress.
thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, working mistress. I like that.
Yeah, that's more fun.
Well, him and Andy have a thing going on now too. So
You and
Yeah.
Andy have a thing?
Yeah.
How
Oh,
dare
totally.
you?
Was it? Oh, a lot
Wait,
of
I have
called
an
it
Andy
out.
thing.
We all have an Andy.
Me and Andy
thing.
have a thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's our new sweet candy.
He is. He's
Oh
the
my
Andy Andy.
goodness.
Candy
That
Andy.
Sweet,
I like
sweet
that.
new office candy.
Let's not call him that ever again.
No?
Andy Candy? Candy Andy?
Yeah. What's
So yeah, you always. I mean, you've become my
HR?
number one priority too,
Sure.
because one of the best kind of not symptoms, but kind of results of that is when I left my job, which I absolutely loved,
Yeah.
Square Enix Montreal. Patrick looked at
For
me.
life.
Yeah, I
Well,
left.
yeah, in spirit.
I gave them like a 2-month heads up
Yeah.
because I wanted to do just the transition properly, because my job was very central to the studio. When I said to Patrick that I was going to leave to be with you, he looked at me as like, that is so uncanny, because I've always been a diehard workaholic.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is so unlike of you, because I know you've always put your career first. And man, it must be serious as hell if you're making this decision, because you're a super work-oriented person. And I'm like, well, yeah. So he took me seriously immediately because I would never make that call.
Well, for me, the other thing that came back of like, because I know how fast this is moving. I know how crazy it seems.
11 months ago, I saw an image.
Yeah.
11
I know.
months ago.
Reddit had 11 months to
There's
how
the
to be
topic
single.
on GameOverGreggy show, how to be single.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just put LOL on the Reddit when I saw
So
it go up.
good.
It's insane.
But I understand like an outsider's perspective on that. And
Oh my
da-da-da.
God, yeah. I
But-
would have been the first one to be like, slow down, girl. This
Yeah, yeah,
is
exactly.
really fucked up. It's quick.
Yeah, but like for me, what kept coming back and what I found so amazing was the comparison, and not immediately, but the comparison to Mike and Darshell. If you remember when we had them on the GameOverGreggy show, Filthy Casual, Mike and Darshell, we did a topic about them and how in love they are. And I remember them being like, oh, thanks for saying that. We get that all the time. People stop us in airports, strangers, and say all these different things. And from the moment we got going, that happened to us. It was text messages from people I haven't talked to in years. They're just like, hey man, glad you found someone. Like I can see in these posts what you're like, you know what I mean? Like you've always been happy, but like this is on another level. There's a spark there. There's a difference in you. I see it in your content. I see it in this, but I see it in your photos, like how happy you make each other.
Or people stopping us on the street.
Right.
Like being like, hey, lovebirds, or like.
Yeah, exactly. Like Hank at the airport.
Yeah.
Ran into this guy Hank at the airport. He was coming back to where he was going to. We were in Vancouver. He was going to Montreal.
Dallas? No, he was going back.
They were
to
coming
the
back
States.
from Kansas. No, they were coming back from Kansas.
Okay.
Old man Hank saw us start canoodling and making out a little bit there while we were waiting. Now, granted, it's our 5 minutes before we have to go. We're trying to figure out an apartment. Like, I have to go to my flight. She has to go to her flight. And he's like, oh, knock that off. I'm like, ah.
And I started freaking out because the video of the two people making out and the lady freaking out had just come out, when she's attacking those two people kissing. Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, this is happening to us.
You seen this one recently?
Oh no, I haven't seen this.
Oh, it's
what
so
is this?
good. Oh my God. Kevin, can you make a note that we put it in the comments or something or in the description?
Santa Monica, it's the Pokeball.
Yeah, it's a
place.
Pokeball. It goes on for like 10 minutes of this woman like, he's having sex with this slut. Or they were just like kissing and he's filming her like, we weren't doing that. We're just.
And then she just proceeds to attack everybody in the restaurant.
Yeah. Physically?
Verbally.
No, one
and
guy
one
eventually
guy at
attacks
the
her.
end, yeah.
And that was like, here it is, yeah.
I'm not gonna put it on.
Yeah, okay, then just don't show it because it's not good
Yeah.
content for anybody else. Anyways, though, yeah, like
There was
and then
one time walking down the street when some guy looked at Gia and said, "Damn, look at that ass."
Oh God.
So that's the closest I ever got.
Sorry
Did you
about
say
that.
anything?
I apologize
Yeah,
for
no.
that already. It's
a compliment
As long as it
to
happened.
you.
Did you
I'm
say
joking.
anything?
No, that didn't
Yeah.
really happen.
What would you
No.
do in that situation?
Upset that happened?
Yeah.
I don't
Just
know.
grab a
I'd
handful of it and
probably
walk.
just- No, I'd probably just be like, all right,
Yeah, okay.
just keep
Yeah, it's
walking.
no point in it.
Anyways, Hank was just some old guy who
Yeah.
was like, oh, and we've been married 63 years, blah, blah, and then he handed me a piece of paper because he heard we were getting married. And it was his boarding pass from his last flight that he drew a pyramid of, and it was him, her, and then at the top, God. And he's like, in your marriage, the closer you get to God, the closer you get to each other. I was like, thank you, Hank.
Hey, thanks, Hank. You selling propane and probate accessories? All right.
But yeah, so then, we were doing it quietly for a long time. I think
Yeah.
one of the reasons we didn't announce anything was the fact
It
that
was my job mostly.
there was that, but there was no timeline either,
Yeah.
which was the really cumbersome part because it was like,
you want everyone to be like, so when's it happening? What's going on? Yada yada.
well, you fought. It's because it was the filing of if we get rejected. We had to go back multiple times to Department of Homeland Security with new paperwork and new
Yeah,
things
boy,
and
you
all
guys. Those were some of the details that you shared with me. That sounded like a real fun experience. Just that whole.
That's a whole other
that
topic.
whole basket of puppies.
it was just the waiting that sucked.
Yeah.
Because it was like a month turnaround of like they'd get it and then a month later you'd get some kind of response. And like there was a time where it was we sent in the initial thing. Okay, I remember calling and we just mailed it. I was like, oh fuck, because they update you. And then we got it back and I was like, oh, we need more information. You send that in, it's another month. Okay, and I think they need a little bit more information after that.
Yeah,
And then they
add
sent back
additional
and,
evidence.
and I called in to get the update and it was like we've sent back this form and you Google that form and it could be you're approved or it could be a million other things. And it was a million other things that were like right before approval. So it was just back and forth and not knowing you're firing into the government. Not to mention, we filed this in October. Then
Right
in
before the
November,
elections.
Trump gets elected. And it is like,
yeah.
I'm going to crack down on immigration. You're like, what exactly does that mean? Like, I know you want the wall, but are you going to just say, well, is it going to be one day? Like, no more visas. I'm going to figure this out. And like, it was anarchy every day of like, what the fuck's really going to happen? Like, we didn't know what's going on and stuff. So there was like that hanging what's going to go on.
How many times do they call? They're like, I just want to hear you talk. Just say things.
What?
None?
What?
Me or the government?
The guys to her. I just like hearing her talk.
Oh.
Oh, here's what I wanted to do this earlier. What you know how when somebody calls somebody like he's goat, you know that?
Greatest of all times.
One of the cutest things she does is say all times.
Oh!
I love that. That's the best.
It's okay. Kevin refers to the Excite Bike level in Mario Kart as Excite-a-Bike. And he did it. He's doing
Nick
it as
so
a joke,
mad.
but at first he really
He really thought it was excited
it was
bike.
Excite-a-Bike.
I mean,
And
I
now
just
it's
said
forever gonna
Excite-a-Bike.
I'm going to be
Excite-a-Bike.
honest with you. Growing up, the NES game, it was Excite-a-Bike in my heart.
Hey, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
You know?
What
I still
is
say
it?
Sandwich.
Excite-
That might be
Gets me all
why.
excited.
I don't know.
And so yeah, that was the whole thing. People, I thought it was interesting. All the Instagram posts that have gone up that are like, it's an honest question. Why aren't you wearing rings?
Oh yeah.
It was that whole thing of like, here, the way it went is that we filed in October. No, I guess we filed in October. Then you came to visit in November for Hunter and Alexis's wedding, right?
Yeah.
We went to that reception thing they did down there. Yeah, I think I'm getting this right.
Day before.
Yeah, no, you weren't there for that, right?
Yeah, that food park thing?
We went to something else downtown for some reason, and then we left that and we went to the jewelry mall, that tower of jewelry stores or whatever, knowing nothing. Walked in there,
I was super overwhelmed.
I didn't know what's going on. Finally, one guy made eye contact from a random store. We went in there and talked to him for a while. He gave us a whole bunch of information on like what an engagement ring should look like. Then we left and went to Olive Garden because you wanted to go to Olive Garden.
Because I had never been.
All you can eat
When you're there.
soup and salad.
It was so salty.
Breadsticks.
Oh, breadstick. Yeah, okay, you're right.
Sorry.
The salad
I
was
think it's
so
pick
salty.
one or the other. Right? I think it's soup or salad.
Yeah.
Super salad. I
That's
thought you were
ev-
saying it was all you can eat, but that's only from November to
The thing about Jen
January.
is
I would know
everywhere
because
she
last
eats in
time I tried to go to
America,
a fucking Olive Garden. I couldn't get a table there. It was like a 50-minute wait.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Olive Garden.
everything she
I
eats in America is
apologize.
too salty.
Everything is so salty or sweet.
You get used
Like
to it.
you guys have.
We
no
went to
in-between
Nopa and I
taste.
was like, "You're gonna like Nopa," and she's like, "This is so salty." And then she did the thing though, where she's like, "Eat the steak, take a piece of steak," and I took a piece, and she's like, "Can you taste the meat?" And I was like, "Fuck, I've never thought of it this way."
That's how you know they seasoned it correctly. If
Oh
it just
my
tastes like
God.
salt and pepper.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Crazy.
perfect. And
It's like
garlic.
there are so many more spices in the world.
Nah, salt. That's all we care about.
But then we were always together for short periods of time. Like we did like, a few weeks, but it was like, all right, we're going to go see your parents.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. Like we're going to New Orleans with Eric Castro. Like it was never like we had, all right, we're going to be in one place for a week and a half
Yeah.
or whatever, where it would make sense to go to a jewelry store, talk to somebody.
Exactly.
You have somebody designing a ring for you
Yeah.
right now. You wanted something different. Thanks for watching this episode of Game Over Greggy. Sorry it was all about me and Jen. Subscribe here. Support us on Patreon there. Go watch other videos over here. And then there's always this mystery link that I forget what it does. What does it do?
I don't know.
Click on the mystery link. Where is it going to take you?
Oh, games. Kind of games.
Go to Kind of Funny Games. That's a good channel too. Subscribe to that.